Let's talk about energy production and oil and gas jobs and the impact of oil and gas in the district and on the environment. Our Marshall Zellinger has the next question for you, Ms. Kirkmeyer.
Ms. Kirkmeyer, you claim that Ms. Caraveo's vote on state oil and gas regulations threatened thousands of jobs. Since March 2019, Colorado has seen 37% fewer oil and gas jobs. But in that same time frame, oil and gas friendly states, Texas, Wyoming, and Alaska, have also seen significant job loss in oil and gas. Why are you blaming Ms. Caraveo for something that's happening nationwide?
Thank you for the question, because specifically Senate Bill 181, which Ms. Caraveo was the prime sponsor on, again, after we had an election in this state that said, no, we don't want a de facto ban on oil and gas, no, we don't want a setback of 2,500 feet. Within 5 months, we passed a bill, well, we didn't, Ms. Caraveo did, passed a bill, had it signed into law, that essentially did put a ban, a de facto ban on oil and gas and decrease the number of permits. We went from 5,100 permits approved in 2018 down to about, I think 22. So 22 permits this year, something approximately in that area. So it did kill thousands of jobs. It killed over thousands and thousands of jobs in this district. This district sits on top of the most productive oil and gas field in the nation. She killed those jobs with that bill.
She didn't kill the jobs in Wyoming or Alaska or Texas, though, which also lost jobs in the same time frame in the same industry.
I have no idea what other laws or what other kind of regulations or what was going on within those states. I just know what was going on here in Colorado. Jobs were lost. I know people, several people that are in the industry, that worked in the industry, my son-in-law for one. I know the number of jobs and layoffs that they had to do because there wasn't any energy production going on here in this state.
I guess the question is causality, because it was at a time when the jobs were kind of coming down throughout the industry. I want to continue to talk about oil and gas.
That's not correct. That is not correct. Not in this state. We were at a time where we had over 232,000 jobs in this state that were related to the oil and gas industry. So that's not correct. And we were on an uptrend. We were doing very well. Our economy was doing very well. And with that bill, the passage of that bill, and the drop-off of the number of permits, no more oil and gas activity, drilling permits going on in this state, that killed a number of jobs. Over 12,000 jobs were killed.
But you're not disputing that in the same exact time frame that in oil and gas friendly states, they also lost jobs.
I'm not disputing that,
Okay.
but I'm also saying we don't know all the circumstances that were occurring in that state to understand why they may have lost jobs.
Another question on energy production for Ms. Caraveo, and this again comes from my colleague Marshall Zellinger.
Ms. Caraveo, you have said you are proud of state legislation that encourages a transition to clean energy while looking out for workers whose jobs would be impacted. How are those not two competing statements? How does limiting oil and gas opportunities look out for workers whose jobs would be at risk?
Well, thank you so much for the question, Marshall. They are not opposing statements. I made sure that in what was actually a very moderate bill that we worked with oil and gas industry on, which was Senate Bill 181, that we looked not just at what the oil and gas industry needed to continue in Colorado, which it has continued, and there certainly are still a huge number of jobs in Colorado. It's an important industry that provides great jobs with great benefits, but that doesn't preclude us from investing in future renewable energy sources. They're going to make us independent. They're going to create more jobs in Colorado, and we can do both. We can chew gum and talk and walk at the same time, and make sure that we're investing in energy jobs such as solar and wind, which importantly Senator Kirkmeyer voted to place further regulations on solar energy when she was a commissioner, which likely limited the number of jobs that we were creating there.